A small electric vehicle in a retro design from Ora. This is a Chinese manufacturer belonging to the Great Wall Motors Corporation. Ora is their brand, all electric, and also for a younger target group. This is the Ora Cat. You can see here, small electric vehicle, 4 meters 25, 167 inches. And you can see the round headlamps, kind of like a Chinese Mini version, I would say, or maybe like a mix of a Beetle and a Mini, something like this. You have carbon fiber visuals here in the lower part, here in the red, in the so-called GT trim, here as well. And it actually has a decent range also, depending on the battery size you pick, around 300 to 400 kilometers and 200 to 250 miles. That's very interesting. We see more and more big EVs, but here now finally we can see another small electric vehicle coming to the market. 18-inch wheels in this case in here, and also one more time here, carbon fiber visuals at the side, and also the wheels here with a contrasting red. And also in the side profile you can see even more retro styling, more round shapes. 49 or 63 kilowatt hours net is the battery capacity, so 2 versions they are actually available. We can see here chrome frame in the lower part, little easier trim in the upper part, and towards the rear we have actually here some kind of shoulder forming, and once again a GT badging right there. So interesting styling, and this is really small car segment, but even more exciting will be how much space we will have in the interior. Light strip here goes all the way across, but is integrated in the rear shield. That's very interesting, and actually a very clean design. And here, if you don't go for the sportier GT model, this one would be the base version, but you can see you can also get a contrasting roof color here in white, and also with this, you know, greenish blue mixture. And the most interesting thing is you can take a look at the exterior color, and this one here has a fitting interior to that, then also with the just a little bit more greenish then, and also then here the white contrast. So really interesting to correspond exterior and interior. That works very well. So especially to the finishing of the materials and also to the coloring, they pay a lot of attention. This one here, by the way, front-wheel drive, around 170 horsepower, and 8.5 seconds is the acceleration figure. And you can see here, this is also the GT model, but in a different color. So now a fine look here at the... It's also the GT trim, but then again in a different color. It is in metallic paint, but has some kind of, let's say, matte appearance. But this one works very well here, once again, with the carbon fiber looks. And definitely... Yeah, you remember the Mini John Cooper Works? Yeah, definitely has something of that, doesn't it? You know, we're also famous for a turning indicator check, and this one here also nice integration all the way around the headlamps. There's also a cool styling, isn't it? Let's directly take a look at the trunk area, and we do have a electric tailgate here, and actually a substantial loading sill. Not too much space, but it's also a small vehicle, but long enough definitely for the city and so on. Some more space underneath right here. And let's take a look at the interior. You know, as a German, I always pay attention to panel gaps, and this one here is actually, you know, very interesting. So not big gaps, and also the door closing sound is very solid, and this is only the small car segment. Let's take a look here at the interior. So here we have soft touch at the inside of the doors on the top part, and then we have here this kind of neoprene style structure. We have it also in new Mercedes cars, for example. And then here this, you know, structured materials on the inside. And in this case then, this GT trim with the black and red mix here. And this is all leatherette, high-grade leatherette. So once again, an animal-free interior from a Chinese manufacturer. And here, once again, also very interesting surfaces they use. So what are they doing here? We cannot drive the car yet. We will do it at a later stage. But what we can already see so far is that they use really good premium materials. Also here on the seats, no one could mistake this one here saying like, oh, this is like animal skin. You could actually think it is, but it's not. So high grade as for this. Oh, we even have red seat belts. I'll show you very soon. But first of all, let me take a seat and see about the comfort. Once again, this is a small vehicle, and especially when you're 1 meter 86 or 6'1" like me, often there's not much comfort in the small vehicles. And you know, so far it's actually quite reasonable. Still have some headroom, although we have a panoramic roof here and also with rear switches, but yeah, it's not powered here at the moment. Steering wheel up and down. This is also a good quality test. Yeah, obviously we cannot move it in and out. Yeah, up and down only. Yeah, this is something they should offer, that you can also put the steering wheel towards you. I like that they still use real buttons here at the steering wheel. That's good actually. And then there's a 20.5-inch screen, so the digital instruments and the main infotainment screen is actually one. Let's take a detailed look at that. Interior overview, once again, very cool materials for the dashboard and also here for this middle area. Everything structured and somewhat soft touch. Vents go all the way through, and indeed, yeah, the Chinese Mini here, we can see they borrowed the design from Mini definitely, but the upper part, this one looks more unique with the screen that goes through, where it is two screens, yes. However, it's interesting here on the right side, you have then the touch and yeah, an own infotainment system, something we have not seen so far. It's actually reasonably quick as well. And take a look here at the GPS, for example. So this one looks rather, you know, Android based. Also in the prototype stage, cannot see too much there yet though. On the left side we see the digital instruments, and when we hit the brakes this one appears then, and then there will be of course the digital speed and so on and so on. Once again, here at the steering wheel we have the real buttons to control, for example, also the cruise control and so on. And on the inside here in the lower part there are USB-A chargers, next to here 12-volt power supply, and cup holders in the front part. And this then here an interesting shifting lever. So we just turn it, know it from Jaguar Land Rover cars, so for example, or also from Genesis and so on. Electric handbrake, and then inductive charging pad. Some more space underneath. So they rather kept it simplified and with a, you know, simple, easy and accessible design here for the interior. And when you think about the comparison to the Mini, this one's supposed to hit the market here at around 30,000 euros. So definitely a more affordable choice. Interior in the rear, then here hardback at the rear doors, and following here again the black and the red scheme. By the way, this leatherette here is not a very slick surface. It has some kind of, it's like a mix of leatherette and microfiber on the very, very top surface, so very interesting. It makes it a little bit more cozy in winter times, for example. Then you can see here hardly any middle tunnel because it's an all-electric concept, of course. And let's take a look. It's a short vehicle, but yet I have the legroom as in a, you know, compact vehicle with combustion engine, which would be like 20 or 30 centimeters longer or something. I sit relatively low, but also headroom-wise, I fit in here. So indeed, considering the length of that vehicle or the shortness of this vehicle, you have really a lot of room here inside. Even on the middle seat is actually quite plush to sit on. You can actually drive with 5 tall adults in here, and it's not that uncomfortable. So that's actually quite astonishing. And also here with the GT badging, here stitching here on the inside on the head restraints. So what we see here from the Chinese manufacturers at the IAA Motor Show in Munich is, first of all, they always offer a lot of legroom. They have great materials on the inside. Infotainment system wise, we cannot test it here yet, all in the prototype stage. We really have to check if they're actually faster. They promised very fast chipsets. Also here a Qualcomm chip then here and from a new generation in this vehicle. We'll see at a later stage then how that one plays out. This will be very interesting, and also if they can actually catch up with the driving dynamics and so on. Here with the electric vehicle thing is, you always have the batteries in the lower part of the vehicle. That always brings the center of gravity very low and usually promises great driving experience. So when the Chinese manufacturers build electric vehicles, they do not have to invest that much in driving dynamics as they would do with the combustion engine models. So this will be a very interesting test in the future to come.